very early as a child, with the bookmobile, I became interested in the arts. The bookmobile stopped at my corner of Nash County at Joyner's store, and I would go to that bookmobile and choose anything I wanted to, and although it was the size of a small RV camper, it was full of the world of arts, culture, literature. It was full of wonder. And I could go undersea with Jacques Cousteau. I could go to England with Little Nell and suffer with her. I could go out to California with Ring Lardner and Bret Harte. I could escape, and I had quite a lot of nasty things to escape from. And I also not only learned that the arts could be an escape, that they could also be a place of learning and wisdom. I remember the first comment on my report card was, "Little Bertha Kay knows what to do and she does it." And I like to get that now in my book reviews. I don't like bad book reviews. But I think professionally what drives me is knowing that young women read my books and they might see this career as an avenue for them. Writing as a career requires nothing but a paper and a sharp pencil and a pencil sharpener. You know, it doesn't require a $5,000 laptop, and it requires hope, and it requires an understanding of the principles of writing, and it requires a depth in reading, and not much else. And students ask my advice. So before you ever think about publishing anywhere, open your eyes and open your ears and do those two things before you ever speak the words, "I think I want to write." Look and listen before you think, and take it all in. But wrestling with the manic depression is the challenge. And it's not having 3 children at home. That's no problem with writing. That's an outstanding splendor in my life. Mary, Leslie, and Louise helped me write. And my husband, Frank, is a splendor in my life. He helps me write. But it's this illness that's been with me for 31 years. And I wish it would pack up and go away. And I would write like Joyce Carol Oates or John Updike. I would have written 20 books instead of 6 by now. And I'd be fabulously well-to-do.
I suppose I've always been very inquisitive. Some might even call it nosy. I love researching. I love digging for facts. I'm challenged by that. And so the field and the world of journalism offers all of that. Being able to read and research and write and ask questions and find the answers to questions. Sometimes they are right there on the surface. Sometimes it takes mining and digging for facts. And I've just always been fascinated with that aspect of it, and then putting it all together and having it make sense to a viewer.
Oh, this is some interesting stuff, Deshawn. That is a shark jaw.
I always want to feel that I'm helping someone. I mean, that's part of what journalism is about. It's to inform, it's to empower, and on great days, I feel that, you know, we have the power to transform. But I think it's the helping people aspect, the reaching out and giving people information, an idea of where to go, how to do something that they didn't know before, is what definitely attracts me, and that's what makes me feel so good about the work that I do.
All right.
I am so excited by my work lately in the past year with the Oak Ranch Project. The Oak Ranch Project fits so nicely in with the For the Children Project because this is a campaign and a plan that's well thought out and well executed to build homes for children who, for whatever reason, can't stay in their families. Their home lives have gotten really messed up for any of a number of reasons, and the child is not able to stay in that home. And this is, I guess, a Christian-based atmosphere of structure and discipline and, most important, love that these children will receive. And it's under construction right now in Sanford, and next spring we hope to bring in, I guess, the first group of boys. Ultimately, it will be a place, a safe haven, a loving environment for boys and girls, and it's the Oak Ranch Project. And I'm proud to be a part of that, to see that coming out of the ground and actually coming into fruition. I am so thrilled to get this award from the Academy, and I guess it speaks to someone's impression of me and someone seeing what could be called greatness in me and what I'm up to in the community. But to me, the greatness belongs somewhere else, to a force much higher than I am. And so while I am honored, I give truly the thanks and the honor to my God, because I think that through God, I'm able to do what I do and accomplish what I accomplish. So I am very thrilled and honored, but I put the greatness at another place and another source.
In one way or another, I have been involved with education all my life. I love to learn. I just always am interested when there's something new going on and want to find out more about it. And I guess I figured that I love to learn, and so other people probably do too. And so it just evolved really throughout my career that I was involved in efforts either in a formal way or informal way to bring opportunities for learning to young people across the state. I grew up in rural eastern North Carolina, and just because really of the family I was born into, I had many opportunities to see the wider world. But there were many children that I grew up with who didn't have those opportunities, and for some reason, even from an early date, I was very aware of that and wanted to give my attention and efforts to trying to make a difference there. So really, I think a sense of wanting to open the world to young people, wanting them to be aware of what's out there, to make the world very large for them. And the larger your world, the more opportunities you have to decide what's right for you. We want to continue to work to make Explorers better every single day. It will always, if it's doing what it ought to be doing, continue to grow and develop and make new connections and help deal with new issues, help improve education across the state, be a partner with other institutions that are trying to do that. But I do have a very strong goal that we can help to share the word about what we're doing. Lastly, maybe try your best to figure out what it is that matters to you, what you're passionate about. Because if you look for that and are able to find it, that's the point at which you're going to be able to maximize those opportunities that come to you and really give back in a way that will be extremely satisfying to you and most beneficial to the people around you.
Well, I think that several things motivate me to do the work I do. And there's no question that the chance to change, the opportunity to make the world truly a better place, especially for very young children, has been such an honor. And motivated in this period of time because it's really been my perception that we were only going to get a brief period to sort of be center stage. And I know that there are very few folks who would have the chance to run an agency, a government agency, that would be able to change the way every day little children are cared for across the state. So the hope of the ultimate change is what's motivated me. All through my life, I've been blessed, and I've had the opportunity to live in the world with people who had hope that change was possible, and there are lots of people. Certainly, both of my grandmothers always believed that anything you wanted was yours, and that the world could change, and they lived through enormous change in their lifetime. And there's no question that my mother carried that tradition forward, and raised us, all of my sisters and I, to believe that anything was possible, and we could really make a difference. One of the things that's been so wonderful for me and inspirational is being the eldest of an all-girl family, and now having all girls myself. And so as we sit, at a dinner for the YWCA, part of my motivation and my joy has been coming from this family of girls, and we still call ourselves girls, and now building this family of sisters with my own 5 children. So I think that's an important part of who I am, how I feel about living in the world and being raised in such intensely female environments. When you ask what sort of advice I would have for young folks trying to follow my footsteps, the first thing I would say is don't follow in my footsteps, make your own. And the second thing I would say is that you get engaged. Find something that gives you goosebumps. Find something that's so exciting, that interests you, that intellectually is stimulating, and go do it. All of my service and all of my experience, there are enormous opportunities for people who just do it. And so that's, young people, I would say, just come on, we need some help.
Well, I became interested in the field of human services about 20 years ago, and it really came, I think, from inside and a desire to want to work with people and maybe make the world a little bit of a better place. And I knew early on that I wanted to work with people who were less fortunate than myself, kind of a calling to work with the poor. Probably the woman I looked to as my role model would be Sister Helen Wright, the woman who preceded me at Urban Ministries, and under whose mentorship I learned the inherent worth of every human being, regardless of their station in life. And so I've always hoped to model myself on the model that she provided for me. The most challenging thing in what I do is trying to do enough, because there's such a tremendous need for the services that my organization offers. So that's challenging, always trying to find more ways to help people, find more money to run more programs and to reach out and make a difference in people's lives. But what's so satisfying about all of that is that just the satisfaction of knowing that one person has gotten some help that they may not have gotten any other way. The advice I would give is to follow your heart. And if you feel that this is the kind of work you want to do, go after it and do it. Because there's not perhaps a lot of money in the work I do, but there's an awful lot of satisfaction. I've admired the women who have been inducted into the Academy of Women, and I've always looked up to them as community leaders and women that I admire very much. So for me to be in this position today is a very humbling experience.
was in my early 20s, I discovered that I was very athletic, and I became very interested in human performance. And I didn't pursue it academically, but I read everything I could read that was available, especially on women's athletics, to try to pursue my interest. At the time that I became interested, they didn't even make running shoes for women. I had to buy men's running shoes to run. But it was out of a personal growth that I became interested in physical fitness.
Make sure you brake with the back pedal or the back brake before the front brake.
I would like to see every child in our area understand the benefits of physical fitness. And when people take care of themselves, it allows them to like themselves. When they like themselves, it not only has an impact on their self-image, but how they relate to others, their parents, their family, their friends, their teachers, co-workers, whatever. And that alone has enormous impact on improving their quality of life. But for young women, when they're going through the struggle of body image, which, you know, that's a struggle for adolescent girls because media presents one image and very few of us live up to that. And so when people are physically strong, when young women are physically strong, they're able to be more Teflon when it comes to those images, and they don't impact them in the same way. They look at themselves as capable, successful young women. There are so many things exciting about working with children and seeing them grow. This summer, the Carey Family YWCA hosted one of my youth triathlon camps. And on the Monday of that week, many of the children didn't even know what triathlon was, and many of them didn't know how to swim. And they worked very hard all that week, and by Saturday, they not only competed in a triathlon, but they completed it. And it's very exciting to see these young athletes approaching the finish line with this huge smile on their face, knowing they had done this. And it was so rewarding to get their sweaty hugs at the end and hearing them say, "Thank you, Coach." And that's very exciting to see children set a goal, work to achieve it, and achieve that goal. Where I would like to go with physical fitness in our area is I would like to see events for physically challenged children where they participate side by side with able-bodied children. The challenge is figuring out how to do that. I don't know how to create that wave of change. The only thing I do know how to do is to make my events inclusion events. Michael, my husband, and I have been blessed with two healthy, able-bodied children. And having this great gift really compels us to want to say thank you for this blessing and give back in a very small way.
Parishioners were allowed to visit, and she had been indoctrinated by punishment. Beatings, she was told, were deserved. Brutal beatings.
It could be all day long, or it could be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a day.
When I was a little girl, my mom and my sister, Pam, and I used to do science experiments when we were very small. And my mother used to try to get us to stop eating the icicles off the side of the house in upstate New York by taking the icicles and putting them in water and then looking at the little particles and saying, see, it really is dirty, it's not really clear. So I think having my mom there to talk to me about scientific principles and concepts was probably the thing that got me most interested in science. There are studies that say that women or young girls lose interest in science, I forgot the exact age, but maybe around 10 or going into their teenage years where it's not really cool to do science anymore. And they start becoming interested in kind of girl things that teenagers sometimes are interested in. But I think probably by example and for them being able to have role models to look up to and to see that people have done it before. And I think if we can do a better job of presenting positive images of people who do science, women who do science, I think that's probably a good start. A number of my colleagues may have wives that stay home, and so they may not have to go grocery shopping or coordinate when the babysitter is going to be at the house or coordinate, you know, the laundry or things like that. And I have to recognize that maybe I won't get the Nobel Prize in chemistry, but I'll do a good job with the science that I do. And the pride I feel at having a family. My husband and I, when you see this, the next day, November 3rd, will be our 10-year anniversary. And so I'm really proud of that, and I'm proud of my son, and it hasn't been easy. But the main thing is to get help. I have a folder that I keep of all the notes that students write me, thanking me for recommendation letters, telling me how they're doing, sending me pictures of their kids, you know, when they get out. And that to me is the most rewarding part of the job, which makes what I do as an educator in science and engineering different from what someone in someplace like DuPont would do, where you're working primarily with, well, you have some other people in the lab with you, but you're really focusing primarily on the science. But I think the education part of it is what makes it exciting. When I went off to college, my mom said, whatever you do, make sure that, you know, you don't lose your, I don't know if it's femininity or whatever. Don't come back as a, you know, real rough kind of engineer, traditional, stereotypical engineer type. And I've remembered that. And so I try to find balance in what I do, not just professionally but personally.
I like to do a lot of community service, so I'm involved in an ArcConnect club, and that's through the Zeta Phi Beta sorority. And I've actually done, I created an angel tree for the Interact children who are children of domestic violence families. And I've also worked at soup kitchens, and I just try to do like certain just little things like working with like hurricane relief and just other community service through Key Club. I like interacting with people. I think I'm just like a great people person. And like whenever you do like things within the community, you get to meet a whole lot of different people. You get to travel around your community. You get to just have like a feel of what your community represents, and also like it brings out certain things in you that you may not have known about yourself. I don't think that I'm like a very complicated person, but I do feel that being a teen woman, I don't want everybody to think that I'm just all about community service. I mean, everybody, like if anybody who wants to become a teen woman, I also want them to want to be sociable and, you know, and also enjoy like the social aspects of being a teenager, but also understand that there's a balance. And I take that balance very seriously. And when you have a balance between your social life, your academic, your spiritual, and your extracurricular activities, then you can aspire to do anything. I think my main motivation is my family. I really want to impress my parents. I want to show my mom and dad that, you know, all their hard work is paying off. My family is very tight-knit, and we have a lot of family time throughout the week. We always are talking, and it's just like a buffer system for me. I have so many goals. I mean, I definitely want to finish high school, but my main goal after high school, I really want to attend Brown University or Johns Hopkins University in Maryland, and I want to become a biomedical engineer. When I first got the phone call about this honor of being a teen woman, I was just screaming. I was so ecstatic. But after all the screaming and stuff, I was just like so amazed. It was such a great honor because I thought that it was something that you couldn't just get. I think that after all my hard work, I'm really just so happy to have this award.
When I came back and retired after 41 years, I wanted very much to volunteer in the community. Having been abroad and been in many of the museums, I wanted to get my act together, and I decided that the North Carolina Museum of Art was the place. I took the course and became a docent, Pyramids to Pops. It was excellent, and now I am a volunteer at the desk, information desk. I had both of my knees replaced 4 years ago, and instead of touring, I decided I would have a desk seat. So I've enjoyed it. I have the best of both worlds. The old museum pieces I know, and the new things I've enjoyed. I also was a volunteer and a docent at the Museum of History when it opened, and that was exciting, opening another. I guess I just enjoy seeing new things develop. Maybe I'm a developer or what have you. You got to have a positive attitude. You've got to realize that it's important to work with different types of people, and as a people person, which I am, they are very fascinating. There's some of the young folks that I have seen develop from the very beginning in school and how they have become community leaders. It's very satisfying, I guess because I've been around so long that I can see it. Set some goals for yourself, that's so important. And be healthy, that's important. Exercise is important. Well, right now, I'm working in our church with the older adults there, visiting with them. We have lots of people whose health has deteriorated, and being with them, giving them a chance to have someone who can smile with them and give them activities and things that they would like to know about. I share my travels with so many of them, and that has helped me a great deal, I think, as well as them. My mother was a Christian. She was very active in the church, and I too have been active in our church. Probably my mother has probably done as much for me in terms of my wanting to be a teacher. I want to be with people. I enjoy the community work because I followed her footsteps.